Alright, I'm back. Let's continue. Oh boy, it sure is fun. Here's this next holiday movie that I'm going to be reviewing on. It's a 1994 movie from Walt Disney Pictures. It's called The Santa Claus. There you go. In The Santa Claus, Scott Calvin meets with his son Charlie to spend the night before going to his mother and stepfather's for Christmas Day. Look at that turkey burnt. This part kind of reminds me of a TV show, Home Improvement, which Tim Allen also starred in. So looks like Scott takes Charlie to Denny's for dinner, meeting with Judy. And of course, Scott assures Charlie of Santa Claus's existence, despite not believing himself. That night, they are awakened by a clatter on the roof, and when Scott calls out to a trespasser, Santa falls into the snow on Scott's front yard and vanishes, leaving his clothing behind. They discover a sleigh with 8 reindeer on the roof. And, of course, the man was really Santa Claus. They found the card that if something happened, whoever finds the clothes should put them on and get into the sleigh. Scott Calvin, dressed up as Santa, delivers a gift to the little girl and tells her to go to sleep to open the gift on Christmas morning. As Christmas morning arrives, the reindeer returns to the North Pole, where the elves take the two inside. They met a head elf named Bernard and shows the tiny inscription on the card, which says that upon the disappearance of the previous occupant, whoever wears this suit accepts the contract of the Santa Claus, agreeing to assure the identity of Santa Claus and all the responsibilities that go with it. Listen to what the part of Santa Claus is coming to town is said.
He's making a list.
Checking it twice. You're gonna find out who's naughty or nice.
Of course, Charlie is proud of his father becoming the new Santa Claus. Indeed, he must follow the Santa Claus on the card. Throughout the next year, Scott begins to gaining weight, his hair whitens, and his facial hair regrows instantly when shaving. He begins behaving like Santa Claus. He always craved Christmas-type foods, not in which children misbehave and wearing red and green clothing. After Laura and Neil witness children wanting to sit on Scott's lap at Charlie's soccer game, they assume Scott is deliberately misleading Charlie and decide to have a judge suspend Scott's visitation rights. On Thanksgiving Day, Charlie shows Scott a magical snow globe that Bernard had given him, convincing Scott that he is really Santa. Bernard takes Scott and Charlie to the North Pole to begin its Christmas Eve duties. Eventually, things are going great until Scott Calvin was caught by the police. And the ELFS, the Elf Heroes, are sent out to the rescue to rescue Scott Calvin and Charlie. And of course, everyone believes in Santa Claus. Scott Calvin gives presents to the people they didn't receive on Christmas before. What I like about this movie, it's awesome North Pole scenery. I really like the way how the elves were performed by certain actors and actresses. I really love Tim Allen. He does the voice of Buzz Lightyear on Toy Story. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this holiday movie a 9. It's a box office hit. It's definitely watching it. It's definitely worth a buy and watching it. Of course, I'll get to more of the Santa Claus sequels later. Did you ever wonder what it's like dressing up as Santa Claus when they prank at you? Well, it's about Jake, who is really dressed up as Santa. but the mustache and hat is glued. And his suit wouldn't come off this way. Well, he was about to get home just in time for Christmas. So here's a review of I'll Be Home for Christmas. It all began when a college student named Jake Wilkinson attends tertiary studies in California College, but has not been to home in Larchmont, New York for any holidays following his biological mother's death and his father's remarriage 10 months later. A few days before Christmas Eve, his father, learning that Jake has traded in his airline ticket to New York for 2 tickets to Cabo San Lucas, offers to give him his vintage 1957 Porsche 356 if he arrives to their home by 6 o'clock on Christmas Eve for Christmas dinner. Jake's girlfriend, Allie, who was against the trip to Cabo, agrees to ride with him to Larchmont after Jake and Allie traded tickets from Cabo San Lucas back to Larchmont, New York City. Allie's family also lives in Larchmont, New York as well. Jake has helped a trio of jocks cheat on the midterm exam, but their comrade Eddie Taffet, who is Jake's nemesis and rival for Allie's affections, sabotages the scheme. Eddie and the jocks leave Jake in the desert with a Santa Claus suit, hat, and beard glued to his body. Wow, now that is a nightmarish way. Jake is stuck on the California desert with no way to contact Allie. She reluctantly decides to ride to New York with Eddie. Jake has only 3 days left to get to Larchmont, New York if he wants the car. As he tries to make his way all the way with a couple of phone calls, left a message, and riding with the elderly all the way to Nevada, that's the part he'd get off after he yams the bag and his beard came off. The elderly lady's kicked off and Jake spends the night somewhere in Utah. Jake stumbles upon Nolan, a simple-minded thief who is driving stolen kitchen goods to his dealer near New York. All of a sudden, a police officer named Max pulls them over in Red Cliff, Colorado for speeding. But Jake manages to convince him that they are donating the goods to the children's hospital. So Max offers them to escort to the children's hospital, forcing them to give away the stolen goods as Christmas gifts. Seeing the children inspires Nolan to turn around and head west to see his wife as he changed his ways, and Max tries to reunite with his wife Marjorie in North Platte, Nebraska. Jake's family in Larchmont, New York is cleaning up the 1957 Porsche, waiting for him to arrive on Christmas Eve by 6 o'clock. Max asks Jake to accompany him, reasoning that his wife will listen to Santa. Jake, and with the help of the traveling band, gets Marjorie to take Max back, and a grateful Max buys Jake a bus ticket to New York. Oh, how happy Max and Marjorie got back together again. Allie and Eddie grow closer as Allie convinces Eddie to stay for the night at a novelty hotel at a Bavarian village called Edelbrook in Armana, Iowa. Jake, they caught them on TV underneath a spring of mistletoe as Jake saw them kissing while waiting at his bus station in Nebraska and develops a scheme to convince the bus driver to drop him off at Edelbrook at the Bavarian village. Boy, it takes a lot of convincing to get Jake to visit Edelbrook for 10 minutes. As Jake arrived in Edelbrook, Allie explains the misunderstanding to Jake, and they make up until Jake mentions his deal with his father to get home before 6. Upset that Jake cares more about the car than about her, Allie storms off and takes Jake's seat on the bus. And Jake hitches a ride with Eddie to get to New York. Of course, it's driven by jealousy as Eddie throws Jake out of his car near a Wisconsin town. As Jake reaches the town, Jake's decided to enter a Santa Claus race for a chance to win a $1,000 prize to buy an airline ticket to New York. And amazingly, Jake has done very well running in a Santa marathon and ultimately wins the race. After claiming a $1,000 prize, Jake rode a taxi to the airport after Eddie was arrested, and the taxi driver informed that Jeff was actually the mayor of this town. He usually wins the race every year and uses the prize money to buy food for the impoverished. Jake feels bad about it and decides to give $1,000 to the mayor to make it up. As Jake talks to his sister to arrange a one-way airfare to New York, she agrees with him, and Jake is trying to get an airport, but he has no photo ID, so he decides to stow away in a dog kennel on a cargo aircraft with a large dog named Ringo, the farting dog. From the airport, he hides on a train, tries to hitch a ride in the car, then steals a one-horse open sleigh from the local Christmas or holiday parade. When he reaches the street, he apologizes to Allie, and then they make up for it. Jake and Allie rides the sleigh home, arrives 1 minute before 6, and waits to go inside, so therefore he isn't in time to get the Porsche. When his father offers it to him anyway, he refuses. He finally accepts his stepmother, and the Wilkinsons and Allie got into the sleigh just as the parade arrives and joins the holiday procession. What I like about this movie is to show that you will always be home for Christmas, and Jake had faced any obstacles to get to where he's going. After all, this is really a comedy holiday movie that I enjoyed back in 1999 on pay-per-view, and it is really one of the greatest holiday movies that is sure to be a cult one. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I am going to give this movie 7.5. If you love this holiday movie so much about being home for Christmas, then this is for you. Look, I'm smaller in size. And speaking of smaller, how about I review Timothy Tweedle, the First Christmas Elf? In Timothy Tweedle, the First Christmas Elf, it is based from the holiday poem. In the land of elves, everyone is working hard. Yes, they are hard-working elves. Just like in Santa's workshop. They worked all day and all night to keep things going. And that elf, for Timothy Tweedle, he was too small to take some risks. Timothy's best friend, Noel, proves that if Timmy could do it, he can achieve. But one day, the north wind blew heavily over Elfland, and Timothy Tweedle was blown away. Eventually, he landed next to the fir tree and meets a cat named Muffin. Looks like Timothy Tweedle is talking to a cat named Muffin, and Muffin gives Timothy a warning. And an evil touring performer named Flo, or Famous Flo. Or it was actually Fabulous Flo. Whoa! Famous Flo! She's to die for, and she's the villain of this holiday special. Timothy Tweedle was forced by Flo to perform for her. And eventually, Timothy Tweedle escaped from the famous Flo as he was feeling unconscious. Nicholas came to pick up Timothy Tweedle, along with his reindeer pet, Comet. Nicholas takes Timothy Tweedle to the farmhouse where he can rest. Nicholas and his wife Mary were making toys, not to be confused with Joseph and Mary. Eventually, Timothy Tweedle wakes up and turns a peppermint stick into a candy cane. Look at how Timothy go. Looks like they're making toys for the very important holiday, Christmas! Things are going great until eventually, Noel is out to look for Timothy Tweedle. But famous Flo, Muffin, and her crew is about to look for Timothy Tweedle as they tied Comet. Suddenly, Nicholas came and notices that the toys were stolen by famous Flo. Of course, Comet and Timothy were about to make a plan to capture the famous Flo once and for all. With a little help of Elves and Timothy's grandfather and Noel, they tied Flo and the rest of her crew and Muffin, never to be harmed again. Once Timothy's grandfather agreed to stay with Nicholas, he became the first Christmas elf. And he and Nicholas are about to deliver presents to everyone worldwide. Of course, the animation quality is kinda not bad, as it stays to true classic. This movie was never released to DVD in the US and Canada, but was available in Australia and New Zealand. Now, if this is going to be a digital streaming, that could take a while. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this holiday special a 7. You should enjoy this movie online while you can. How about I take you on this next holiday special of 1996? The Story of Santa Claus. Have a look. In the story of Santa Claus, it begins in Europe a long time ago. Nicholas Claus, nicknamed Santa by his wife Gretchen, is a toy maker who wishes he could give a toy to every child in the world, as it said in the song.
Can you imagine a world of happy smiles? In igloos and wigwams and huts on tropic isles, I travel the frontier of every hemisphere to give every child in the world a toy.
It is also explained that Nicholas grew up in the Angels Island orphanage, where he taught himself to make toys for the other children. However, Nicholas is now in debt because he gives away more toys than he sells. The Clauses are subsequently evicted by their greedy landlord, Mr. Minch. They decide to take their remaining toys to the children at the Angels Island orphanage. However, their ship is caught up in a storm and they are miraculously transported to the North Pole. There they meet the elves, including the wizardly elf Nostros, along with his son, Clement. Clement, the cute boy elf who is the son of Nostros. The name Clement comes from the author of The Night Before Christmas, Clement C. Moore. Of course, we got the know-it-all elf girl, Aurora. Beautiful Aurora, the smartest elf, who can make Nicholas's wishes come true. in order to give a child in the world a toy. When Nicholas saves Clement's life, Nostros is forced to grant him a wish. Nicholas wishes that he could deliver toys to all the children in the world on Christmas. Of course, the wish can't be taken back because it is now etched among the stars. Nicholas and Gretchen manage to recruit almost all the elves to help him. Look at the elves, they're on parade! They have built a toy factory, and they got into work to making toys. Nostros, the wizard, watches from afar. Clement sneaks out to help out anyway. Aurora realizes Nicholas will have to be accompanied by a magical expert on his trip. She goes to Nostros, but of course he refuses. After thinking about it for a while, he changes his mind and goes to the toy factory to help Nicholas. They made a trip around the world to give every child in the world a toy. As their voyage ends, Nicholas insists that they make a stop at the Angels Island Orphanage, giving a young boy a knife so that he may make toys for the others, just like Nicholas. Once they return to the North Pole, Nostros had a change of heart. The other elves vote to bestow an honorary elfhood upon the Clauses, making them immortal. Nicholas, now Santa Claus, declares that they shall do this again every year, forever, as the elves cheer. What I like about this holiday special is its animation style that was directed by Don Bluth's younger brother, Toby Bluth. And this animation is much praised, as it has been aired subsequently every other year on CBS. I wish this holiday special would be released to DVD sometime in the future. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this holiday special 8.5. If you love to learn about the Santa Claus, this holiday special is for you. You should watch this whenever you can. Aha! Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle, 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 jingle. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle, 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 yeah. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Yeah. Speaking of jingle bells, here's this 1999 Christmas classic that you're ever gonna love, Jingle Bells! This animated classic opens on a small farm where Beth, Tommy, and their parents are all worried about finding the money to buy each other's gifts. As the story goes, this follows the same classic story like The Gift of the Magi. Of course, Tommy and Beth are hard-working kids bringing a Christmas tree to their home with their horse named Chris and a mouse named Cheddar. They all love to decorate the tree every year during Christmas. Of course, Tommy and Beth need to surprise their parents, remembering back years ago when their dad took a ride on a one-horse open sleigh. And now, they have to surprise them to make Christmas happy. Meanwhile, their dad is at the toy store, observing different kinds of toys to give to Tommy and Beth. But when their dad thinks about it, he said it'll be a good idea. Here, take a listen to Tommy and Beth humming Jingle Bells. La 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 la. Of course, their dad decided to sell Chris so that he can make Tommy and Beth happy. So they sadly say goodbye to Chris. And remembering their great time they spend with Chris, Tommy and Beth decided to spend Christmas together in their hearts. Of course, that song will be heard in the end of this holiday special as I share my memorable moment. Then Christmas morning came, and they finally got toys. And Cheddar finally got cheese. But when they got a toy horse, they couldn't accept it. So Tommy and Beth made a Christmas wish that they want to have Chris back into the family. Suddenly, the rocking horse came to life, and Chris finally came back to the family.
Wow, Tommy and Beth are glad to have Chris back into the family, and their parents too. They love Chris.
Then Tommy and Beth show their mom and dad their surprise they made. It's a sleigh ride. And so that the farm family finally goes riding on a one-horse open sleigh. Of course, what I like about this classic animated holiday special is Jingle Bells. And Jingles the Elf is voiced by Jason Alexander. And even Tommy and Beth's mother is voiced by Shelley Long. This animation quality is made by Hyperion, the same company that they made the Brave Little Toaster. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this holiday special a 9. This is a must-see for all ages.
How about we join in on a sing-along for Jingle Bells? Let's go!
Hey, Dad, I think I can hear it. That song you used to sing.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Ha ha ha! Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight! Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh!
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh!
This is incredible.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow. Is this Christmas great or what?
Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Merry Christmas, everyone! Merry Christmas!
That was beautiful, but don't go away because we got lots of more holiday movies and TV specials to review. So stay tuned. Coming up, we're going to look at Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, followed by Elf, and along with the Santa Claus 2, as well as a look at Christmas Time in Coral Gables, and a review of Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, and the Polar Express, as Agent Mike's movie TV show Revewer Christmas Cavalcade is coming right back.